So Belinda, we all default to certain behaviour when we're under stress. As a coach, how do you work with that, and what would be some of the strategies that you would suggest?
I think the starting point is around self-awareness. We need to understand what our typical hot buttons are, the things that cause us to overreact. Being a new manager, being a manager of any standing, if you like, has its pressures and its stresses. And when the pressure's on, we tend to default to the worst of our personality type. Usually what happens is that the pressure causes us to feel defensive, and the sources of our defensiveness sit in our personality type. So I start all of my coaching interventions using a personality profile. The one that I happen to like is the Enneagram. I've used it for a very long time, and it gives very quick insight into what is likely to happen when a manager is under pressure. What are their typical default defensive behaviours? And unless they have a handle on it, there is always the chance that when the pressure is on, as a manager, you end up behaving badly.
So it sounds as though the manager needs to do some work about what triggers them and when. So what are some of the things that you would recommend to your clients?
The most important tool in any of this work is really to do with reflection, and it's about developing the habit of reflecting on situations that you've found yourself in. So if you are a manager and you have been in a meeting and you have presented a proposal and you reacted, let's say, defensively or even aggressively to objections to your proposal, it's really useful after the fact to sit and tease out what went on and what was it that upset you and how you behaved under those circumstances and what you would want to do in future. The ability to be more receptive to objections really counts in anybody's favor, because if they can respond appropriately to objections, to criticism, to disagreement, they have a really good chance of bringing people on board. It gives you the ability to meet people where they are. And if you can meet people where they are, you can bring them to where you want them to be.
So you've spoken a little bit about reflection, doing some reflection. What more can you tell us about this as a practice?
Reflection is a tool that enables one to better understand one's own triggers and one's own responses. It takes place outside of, let's say, the incident. So as an individual, you're able to look at yourself in that incident and ask yourself some questions. Questions like, what happened? And what did I think about it? And how did those thoughts trigger an emotional reaction? And how did I behave as a result of that emotional reaction being triggered? When you can get clear on that, you're then in a position to start thinking about some tactics for managing yourself when you're under that pressure. That pressure is not ever going to go away. And your ability to manage yourself, to buy time, to slow down, to press pause, that ability often will come out of the practice of reflection, where in many instances what you're doing is you're rehearsing a future incident, and rehearsal creates a memory for you, so that when you're in the situation and you're under pressure again, you can draw on your memory rather than having to work out how to respond.
That's a really great tip. So you've included this and many more tips in a really great article called "You Can't Change What You Can't See," which we'll be providing a link to under this video. And moving on to some other topics in the series of videos.
I look forward to it.